Good Sunday morning. I'm going to wait for a few people to join us before we begin on this Sunday morning. And Sullivan, 668, good Sunday morning to you. Thank you for joining us. Koo Chi MJ Lee, 2002. I hope the Instagram Live connection works better today for all of us. I know many people have had trouble with it, and I don't see, oh, it's moving actually. PCOFF923, hello, good morning. GG Irving, hi, good morning. Mama Martin 50, good morning. MG, I said good morning to you, yes. Erin D, good morning. Lauren Shooty, I love Lauren Shooty. Lauren used to work with me, and she's about to give birth to her first child. And so I know this is a bit of a hectic and uncertain time for people who are about to give birth. And so that's why we're going to talk about faith today, and we're going to talk about hanging in there and thinking that the best is yet to come, whether you're about to give birth or whether you're about to walk out on a social distance walk, whatever. So there's Lauren Shooty. And Mindy M., good morning from Pennsylvania. So many good people joining us. Oh, there goes a plane. Good morning from Long Island. So I'm going to wait. So today, we're calling this the Sunday Paper Live. Good Sunday morning. Yes, the Sunday Paper Live. The Sunday Paper is a weekly newsletter that we do out of Shriver Media. It's free. It's a digital newspaper. You sign up at the Sunday Paper. You can go to mariashriver.com and sign up for the Sunday Paper, a free digital newspaper that's focus is to inspire your heart and mind and help us all move humanity forward. Our mission is to be a part of creating a more caring, compassionate, collaborative world. And so everything that we publish has that mission in mind. We publish to-be list. Today is my daughter Christina Schwarzenegger, her to-be list, not her to-do list, her to-be list. We publish reflections that you can read and sit with and maybe go out into the world thinking about. We recommend classes and courses that you can attend that might help you become a more caring and compassionate person. We all have to become that way. Anthony, Cynthia, thank you from the Ozarks. Oh my God, I started Ozarks last night. Thank you for loving the Sunday Paper. And if you do love the Sunday Paper and you get it, please forward it to a friend who might not know about it. Our goal is to really, as I said, be all around the world. We are global. We're in, I think, 40 or 50 countries. I'm not sure how many at last count. Lauren Shooty used to work on the Sunday Paper. But so we're going to try to do the Sunday Paper live every day. What am I talking about? Every Sunday, with the hope that those of you who might not know about it will discover it. And for those of you who do know about it, maybe it's a way of bringing it to life for you. So I write every week a column called I've Been Thinking. And today I wrote about how it dawned on me this week that we're not going back to, quote, normal. We're not going back to what was. We're moving forward, and what was isn't going to be anymore. And that's painful. But I said that this is also Palm Sunday and the beginning of Holy Week. So it's a time to look forward. It's a time of spiritual renewal, a time of rebirth, certainly in the Catholic Church, but I think we can all look at it that way. And we're meant to go forward, no matter the pain. And I wrote in here about all the conversations that I had this week that involved loss of a job, loss of income, and then in my own family, loss of a child and a grandchild. And that I learned that even in the time of Corona, we can't grieve the way we used to grieve. We can't gather to hold someone who's grieving. We can't have the kind of wake we might have had if this were not happening. So people who are grieving, losing loved ones to corona or to other unexpected tragedies, you know, it's even more difficult at this time because people can't come to gather with you. They can't come to hold you. They can't come to be with you in the same way. And that's also adds to your pain. And so I wrote about that this week, and I always end my column with a little prayer. And the prayer this week is, Dear God, as I enter this holy week, may I remember that this is a time for renewal and rebirth. Things may feel different, and they are, but they are also moving forward. Help me see the light and remember that I too can be a light. Help me to move forward. Amen. And last week in this space, we spoke to Jack Kornfield, who writes a lot for the Sunday paper. He's a very well-known Buddhist teacher and definitely worth following if you don't already follow him. And Gary Chapman is in this week's paper. He wrote the love languages, 5 love languages, which I highly recommend, whether you're in a relationship or not. And it's beautiful, and he's got a new book, and what blended family relationships, how to have a love language if you're in a blended family or about to be in a blended family, or which is such a smart idea because you know, blended families are their own galaxies, right? And you have to learn a whole new language. And so I'm so deeply grateful for the relationship we have with him and that he's allowed us to excerpt that book. Patty Davis, my friend, talks about this week about what Alzheimer's taught her that's helpful to her in the time of corona. Dr. Larkin talks about your mental health and your physical health. For so many people, this is a time of great stress on our mental health, so that's really helpful. And then obviously Max Lucado is Pastor Max, and we're going to be talking with him this morning. He wrote for us, I should say, a column this week. It's called Surviving April, and it's really great. And I first discovered Max, Pastor Max. My mom gave me his children's books when my kids were young. She used to always give me a bag of books to take to church on Sunday so that the kids wouldn't disturb people at church. And so I always had this big bag of books that I would bring into the church. And there were always books by Pastor Max Lucado in them. Lucado, I always mispronounce that, Lucado. And so I was so pleased to then discover that he wrote books for adults too, beautiful books, and that he's a pastor in San Antonio. And he's going to join us this morning to talk about faith, to talk about getting through this time, and to talk about Surviving April, which is his column in the Sunday paper today. We also recommend the new course at Yale, which is about how to find happiness. It's up for free now. It's the most popular course at Yale. And so I went and listened. Pastor Max has a lot of pieces on YouTube about their coronavirus check-ins. I'm going to try to find him. I don't know that he's Mac. Oh, there he is. So he has the most calming voice. Most calming voice. If I look like I'm in my pajamas, it's because I am. But these are those kind of pajamas you can wear out. Good morning.
I am so impressed that we were able to pull this off. You have no idea how unsavvy I am when it comes to technology.
Well, good morning, Pastor. I'm also very unsavvy. I've become, I have to say, a little savvier when I've learned that I'm on my own. I have to figure it out.
I know. Same here.
Yes.
Good morning to you.
Good morning to you on this Palm Sunday. And I was just telling our audience that I first heard about you from my mother, who used to send me all your books for children. And I was saying that I brought them into church. And then I've gone on to discover you as an adult. And thank you so much for your piece on Surviving April that's in the Sunday paper today. And I went and checked in on all the coronavirus check-ins that you've been doing. And Pastor Max, you said in your piece this morning that you think there are 3 emotional tools that we all need right now. Can you walk us through what you think we need to get through this time?
Yeah, I sure can. First of all, thank you for letting me be on your wonderful, wonderful broadcast. It's really an honor. And of course, my prayers are with you in addition to the loss that we're all experiencing. You have your own personal loss. And
Yes.
my thoughts and prayers are with you in that. And
thank you so much.
And a blessed Palm Sunday to you. A blessed Palm Sunday to you. Yeah, you know, and that's what I'm talking to our church about this weekend. I said, you know, this isn't the April that we wanted. And I love springtime. All of us love springtime. I think I'm addicted to springtime. I love spring. I love spring baseball. I love spring March Madness. I really love the Masters. I mean, I record it and I rewatch it. And I know those are all superficial losses compared to the severe losses that we're truly, truly feeling. I really pray that April 2021 is going to be a lot better. But this is the April we've been given. This is the April we've been given. And so I think there are 2 or 3 ideas. Number 1, essential in managing anxiety is gratitude. I've learned that the emotion of anxiety and gratitude will not share the same heart. The emotion of gratitude and anxiety, they just don't share the same heart. I challenge people.
Pause a second there.
Yeah.
You're saying that if we express gratitude, that anxiety that we feel in our bodies and in our brains will dissipate.
It'll pack up the bag and walk out the door. It really will. Test me on this. Test me. Just make a list of 10 things for which you can be grateful today, and see if you don't sense the fear of loss, the fear of tomorrow, the fear of uncertainty. See if you don't sense it beginning to leave. The surest way to deal. I'm sorry, I've been talking a lot. I know you have too.
I love your voice. I find it very calming.
It's kind of gravelly today. So the Apostle Paul, in the most famous verse in the Bible, we know this because it's the most underlined verse in the Kindle Bible. He says, "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God." So the phrase "be anxious for nothing," Maria, as we know, is written in a Greek tense, which means don't let yourself be perpetually anxious. Anxiety comes with life. Just don't let it suck the life out of your life. And you do that by letting your requests be made known to God, and then you do so with gratitude. With gratitude. I think gratitude really matters in a time like this.
And so you talk about, in your piece, you talk about these 3 essential tools. You talk about gratitude. You also talk about determination and others. So walk us through, what do you mean by that, with others?
Okay, with others. Jesus said it's more blessed to give than receive. That's kind of the rule of thumb. If you want joy, you find joy in helping others. The secret to surviving tough times is to remove your mind from your needs and make yourself available to help down and pretending that nobody else exists. We are going to survive this by making ourselves aware of helping other people and seizing on every opportunity to do so.
Let me just repeat. So you're saying that on this day, if we're struggling with our faith, as I am on this day, if we're having anxiety, which I think everybody is, first, make that gratitude list, because as you just said, gratitude and anxiety don't live together. When you are feeling perhaps still anxious, struggling with your faith, think outside about others. Think about service. At the Sunday paper today, we're talking about a once a day challenge. Think about something once a day you can do for someone else. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And you don't have to have it all together. But the idea is to give the hope that you have. Just give the hope that you have. And if you have just that much, that's okay. Because just by reaching out to somebody, you're giving them a tablespoon of hope. And what is a tablespoon to you might be a cupboard to someone else.
I
So
love that.
just give.
Tablespoon of hope. That
Yeah.
sounds like a name of a book. Give me an example of a tablespoon of hope, for example. Give me an example that we could give a tablespoon of hope.
I'm thinking about you. Just that precious phrase. I'm thinking about you. Everybody is just like here. I'm coming to you from a bedroom in our house. You know, I'd rather be at our church on Palm Sunday, but I can text somebody and say, on this day, I'm thinking about you. I'm so sorry for what you're going through. Nobody expects anybody to have this figured out, right? When I got into seminary some 40 years ago, I thought it was up to me to figure everything out so I could tell everybody else. I've come to learn nobody cracks the code on human life. We all have our hope. We all have our hunches. But what we do have is kindness. And so give someone a tablespoon of kindness today. And again, what is small to you might be huge to somebody else. I mean, if you're a beggar and somebody gives you a piece of bread, that's like giving you a loaf of bread. And so if somebody in your life needs just a piece of bread today, and what happens for Christians, we believe the Holy Spirit comes and works through us. And nothing is more invigorating than the thought that God Almighty is using us to bring hope to someone else.
I love that. Gratitude, making a list of gratitude, thinking about others, a tablespoon of hope. And Pastor, you also talk, it's a time for determination. What do you mean? Is that finding our resolve? Just
deep-seated, old-fashioned determination. Just like my parents had when they went through the Great Depression. Like your parents or grandparents had when they went through World War II. I mean, somewhere down deep, we have to say, okay, dadgummit, we're going to make it. We're going to make it. Yep, boy, we've got a body blow. Somebody punched us right in the gut. But with God as our helper, we're going to get through it. In that article, I tell about, I know you've met so many fascinating people in your life. I've met just a few. And one of them is Robby Reisner, a general from the Vietnam War who spent 7.5 years in Hanoi as a POW. And he told me how he would pry the grate off the floor vent in his cell and lower his head and stare through a pencil-sized hole in the brick at a piece of grass. And that's how he found strength every day, finding that source of life, because his entire world was gray. And so I just encourage us, okay, folks, we're going to have to find that piece of grass. It is April. It's not the April we wanted, but grass still grows in April.
I love that, because a lot of people are repeating tablespoon of hope. Those are, as I say, they may sound small, but they're really big to the people that are on the receiving end of the tablespoon of hope. So many people messaged me yesterday, Pastor, about the tragedy in my own family. Many people said, I don't even have the words. I just want you to know I'm thinking of you. And that in and of itself touched me so deeply. I didn't need the words. I just needed the hope. I just needed somebody to say, I'm thinking of you. And I think that that's such a powerful idea, this tablespoon of hope, or that we're all can write down something that we're grateful for, even if our faith is challenged on this Palm Sunday, even if we've lost everything. And I think one of the other sermons I was listening to of yours last night, you said, God is everywhere you go. God is everywhere you go. And whether you're walking upstairs, whether you're walking outside, whether you're sitting in nature, however you call God, God is everywhere you go. And I found that so comforting.
And cry out to the God you know. Cry out to the God you know. We're all trying to know him. And maybe you don't know him. You know what? That's okay. Talk to him anyway. Just cry out to the God you know and say, God, if you're up there, whoever you are up there, I need help. Mm-hmm. The Bible is full of stories of people who didn't know God, who cried out to God, and God gave help. The Bible presents a God who loves us, who cares about us, who walked on this earth and came and bore not only our human flesh, but bore our sin, and then rose from the dead on Easter Sunday. And that promise has not been taken. A lot has been taken, but that promise has not. And so just cry out to him.
You also said in one of those, you've been doing these daily Coronas check-ins. So if you haven't, everybody out there, and there are thousands of you out there, if you haven't seen his daily check-ins, or I don't know if they're weekly or daily, I just went through them. But
they're almost daily.
They're almost daily,
yeah,
and they're beautiful. And his voice is very reassuring, like it is here, very calming. And I think one of the other things you said in one of the coronavirus check-ins, you said, if you focus on trouble, your life will be troubled. And so many people, Pastor, are focusing on like, I don't have any money in the bank. I lost my job. I just filed for unemployment. I just filed for a small business loan. I'm in that time of waiting. I haven't gotten my unemployment. I don't know where my job is. Young kids who are graduating, I have no job. They're consumed with trouble. They're consumed with hopelessness.
As we head into the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Good Friday, and then Celebration Sunday. But let's not forget that right in the middle comes a Silent Saturday.
Yeah.
And we often forget Silent Saturday in our Easter weekend celebrations. But remember, Friday was the crisis. Sunday was the solution. But in between was a Saturday in which God did not speak, in which Jesus was buried and placed in a tomb. That's where all of us are. This is Silent Saturday. A catastrophe has befallen the world. We're awaiting a solution. We're caught in between. In those hours of Silent Saturdays, what we can do is claim every promise we've ever heard about God. He is good. He is faithful. He is strong. He is coming. We can lift up our eyes and we can fix our eyes on heaven, on the assurance that this life is going to pass and the great eternal life of joy and peace awaits us. That's what we have to do. So let's recognize where we are. This is a Silent Saturday. In my lifetime, we've never had a global Silent Saturday. We've all had personal ones, right? And in those seasons, you just wait. You just trust, you wait, and you don't do anything stupid. You just kind of hang in there. You hunker down and you trust.
And I think it's also, maybe it's going to be Silent Monday, Silent Tuesday.
I know it.
It's kind of, maybe, and maybe in that time, if you're feeling like it's a Silent Monday, a Silent Sunday, picking up the phone, that's another thing I've learned about my son is living with me, but also when you're alone, people sometimes think they shouldn't reach out to you with the tablespoon of hope. And so sometimes you have to be the one that reaches forward to say, I need you. I'm hurting. And that is, as I've always said to my kids, that's not weakness. That's a sign of incredible strength to say to somebody, I'm hurting right now. I need something. I don't even know quite what it is. You must be inundated with people saying to you, Pastor Max, I need something, and I don't even really know what it is.
All over the place. We're all overwhelmed right now. We are. A piece of advice that was given to me years ago that I give often, Maria, is walk in the direction of an answered prayer. Walk in the direction of an answered prayer.
What does that mean?
Well, okay, so there's a story in the New Testament about a father whose son was dying. He made a 20-mile walk from the town of Capernaum to Cana to ask Jesus to heal his son. He came and he begged Jesus to heal his son. And Jesus said, go home, your son will live. Now, what the man wanted was Jesus to go home with him. But Jesus said, no, you go home, your son will live. And so that man had to make a choice. Was he going to stay there and insist that Christ come? Or was he going to obey and do what Christ said? So he turned and he made that, believe it or not, 20-mile walk all the way back home, not knowing whether his son would live or not. But when he got home, the son was alive. I think that story tells us that we could always, when we offer a prayer, we believe that Christ has heard us. We believe that God has heard us. So let's walk in the direction of an answered prayer. Let's don't assume that the worst is going to happen. Okay? That's very hard. But let's just don't assume. Let's assume something good is going to happen. That's faith. Let's assume, okay, I have asked the Lord. I'm going to start behaving like that prayer is going to be answered.
I think also, Pastor, is that, we're hearing from so many political leaders, okay, the worst is yet to come. Brace yourselves. It's going to get worse. And that heightens people's anxiety, makes them so fearful. When you're anticipating that something worse is going to happen and you think you've already been through the worst, is gratitude the place to come back to?
Yeah. It is. Boy, you're asking great questions. These are such great questions. Okay, here's another principle of the Bible. Okay. God meets daily needs daily. God meets daily needs daily. We tend to go to God and say, God, give me everything I need for the next 3 months. That's not how he works. The story of the Hebrews in the wilderness with Moses and the falling of the manna, remember? They could gather enough for the day, but they couldn't gather enough for the next day. So it doesn't do us any good to say, God, give me everything I need to get through this crisis. That's not how he's going to respond. What we do need is, and I pray this every morning, I say, Lord, just give me enough to get me through the day. Just give me today's manna today. And I know that tomorrow I'm going to ask you again, and you're going to give me tomorrow's manna tomorrow. So when our leaders rightly say it's going to get worse, don't let that freak you out. If it gets worse, God gets stronger. When the problems get greater, God gets stronger. So just trust he's going to give you what you need as you need it.
Pastor, I go to a church here in Santa Monica. It's called St. Monica's. I have a pastor who works 7 days a week, 24/7 on the line. And I'm sure you're the same way. How do you sustain yourself when everybody's coming to you like we are right now, asking, like, how are we going to survive this? What do we do? Give me a tablespoon of hope. It's Silent Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Looking to you, you're a man. You have a flock. How do you, as a man, navigate this time? Where do you get your sustenance? How do you personally survive when everybody's coming to you?
I could do it better. I catch myself getting irritable and getting frustrated sometimes, and that's a sign to me that I need to turn and receive God's goodness, receive God's strength. So I think what the Apostle Paul says, he says, rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice. Let your gentleness be made evident to all, because the Lord is near. Then he says, be anxious for nothing. And everything
you wrote
by
a book
prayer.
Called that. You wrote a book called Be Anxious for Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I
love.
So
I think we start by rejoicing in the Lord. Now, rejoice doesn't mean jumping up and down and celebrating. Rejoice is that deeply resolved conviction that, God, I'm not sure what you're up to, but I've still got my hat in your ring. I'm still going to follow you. It's not easy. And so we just rejoice and we set our mind on the goodness of God. Maria, I try to do that every morning. I try to begin. I have a little prayer closet, and I get down on my belly, and I'm in my pajamas. I ain't much to look at. And I just say, Lord, I just need your strength for today. I rejoice in your ability. I rejoice in your goodness. I thank you for what you've done. And that's about it. I don't have a magic bullet or anything. I just do what you're doing. I just ask the Lord for strength and try to trust.
Well, I want to thank you. I know you have a whole congregation waiting for you on this Sunday. I want to thank you for your beautiful piece called Surviving April that's in today's Sunday paper. And I want to thank you for all the books you've written. I read somewhere that you said you write books for people who don't read books. And I thought that was such an interesting description. Can you just leave us with who do you write for?
Some people read all the time, right?
Yeah.
Many people either don't like to read or they feel like they don't have time to read. Life is so busy. And so many years ago, decades ago, I thought, now I can talk to that person. I can talk to that person who's driving a truck or changing diapers, who's busy, or who just is not a reader, but they want the information. And so I thought, I'm going to try to write books for people who don't like to read books. And turns out there's a pretty good audience for that.
There sure is. And so thank you so much. I feel like my mom is looking down on us today. I've been such an admirer of yours for so many years.
Likewise. God bless you, Maria. God bless you. And God bless everybody right now. Just may you receive the presence and the peace of God. May you know he loves you, he's with us, and he will walk us through this. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. God
you.
bless you, and have a wonderful day. And
You too.
We'll wrap it up on here, but we'll let
Okay.
you go.
Thank you.
So, do you know how to get off of here?
I'll try to figure it out. I'll push a few buttons and see what happens.
I think I do something. I don't know what we do. Okay, I don't know. Yes, I think he left. That was beautiful. Once again, his article is called Surviving April. It's in the Sunday paper. What an extraordinary man. He gave me a lot there to take away on this Palm Sunday. A tablespoon of hope, gratitude, getting rid of that anxiety that we all feel at this time, and finding my determination, finding my resilience, finding my resolve, finding my grit, which we all have. I wrote about that in my article today, remembering that we're all brave, remembering that we all have resilience and strength, and we're going to come out of this and we're going to tell our children, our friends, remember that time. Remember that time when we rose up. Remember that time when we became resourceful. Remember that time when I gave birth. Remember that time when I, gathered my family. Remember that time and think about what we learn about ourselves. I've learned that I'm more technically savvy than I ever thought I was. I find myself having my faith tested, my resolve tested, and I also know that I'm going to be okay. So a lot of you have said to me that you're thinking of me on this day and my family. And I want to thank you. So many of you have left me messages on Facebook, here on Instagram. And I want you to know, maybe if I don't respond to every single one of them, I read. I sat in my bed last night and I read all of these comments that were so kind, so loving, so supportive. So I don't want anybody to think that if they leave a comment, it's in vain. I want you to have faith that I've read them, that I'm reading them, that I'm going over them, and they help me. So thank you so much. Maureen, thank you for saying you love this Instagram. I hope the Sunday paper helps you on this Sunday, helps those you love, those you know. Pastor Max, as I said, is such a wise, calming presence. There was so much that he said. Tablespoon of Hope. I think that's going to be the name of his next book. I don't know why I think that. I think all of us just participated in maybe coming up with an idea for his book, or maybe that's something we could all write, a tablespoon of hope. In today's Sunday paper, we're starting the once a day service challenge. Once a day, each of us can be of service to somebody else in some way, in some capacity, even if it's just that phone call that he said, that text, that when you leave that text on Facebook or Instagram, that's your once a day service. And please also don't forget that by staying home, you are being of service. This is what our leaders have asked of us. They've asked us to stay home, and I myself have struggled with that, thinking like, what am I doing staying at home? How is this being helpful? And it is helpful because it's allowing the health workers to do the work with the people who are sickest. And they're thanking us for being of service by staying home. So remember, staying home may feel like nothing, but it's huge. It's an act of service. It's an act of service to call someone. It's an act of service to make a mask for someone. It's an act of service to donate $10. It's an act of service to donate blood. It's an act of service to check in. And we've got to change the way we think of service. Yes, we could serve in the military. That's extraordinary. Yes, we could serve at an emergency room. That's extraordinary. Yes, we can go and help Chef Andreas feed the masses. That's extraordinary. But also, it's extraordinary to stay home. It's extraordinary to call. It's extraordinary to text. So that's one of the things I've learned in my life, to stop qualifying something as big or someone else as bigger than you. All of these acts are super important, super impactful. Nothing is bigger or smaller than something else. That those words even, I think, make us compare our act of service to somebody else. So today, maybe let's go out and not compare our act of service, but let's just think about what act of service we can bring forth, what tablespoon of hope we can bring to somebody else. And once again, thank you for all the comments on this Palm Sunday. Thank you for listening to Pastor Max. Thank you for reading the Sunday paper, which really is a labor of love and an offering from us. Thank you for all your kind words about my cousin Kathleen and the tragedy that's befallen her family. Thank you for your prayers for Maeve and Gideon. And my prayers go out to all of you who are suffering, who are struggling, who have experienced loss at this time, who may have lost a loved one to this virus or just lost a loved one to something else like Kathleen did. We're not going to compare our losses, but there is, enough loss, enough grief to go around. And so on this Sunday, may you be well. God bless you and your family. And thank you for joining in Sunday Paper Live. And we will be back on this account for our Home Together series that I've been doing with my son Patrick. Tomorrow we're talking to John Bon Jovi to talk about his incredible work. He and his wife Dorothea, they have something called Soul Kitchen, and where they feed the homeless, and it's really extraordinary. And wow, thank you, saying my voice is calming and reassuring. My brothers say it's not, but thank you. I'm going to go with that. That gave me a tablespoon of hope. But tomorrow we're going to talk to John Bon Jovi. On Tuesday, we're going to talk to Glennon Doyle. On Wednesday, Gavin Newsom here in California. We're also going to have a big forum on Alzheimer's. As many of you know, I do a lot of work in Alzheimer's and trying to keep that work going at this time. Thursday, we're going to be talking to Chef Andreas about all his extraordinary work, and then the former Surgeon General, about loneliness. I know many people are lonely, struggling with being alone for maybe the first time in their lives, just alone. So we've got a great week ahead for you on Home Together. God bless you. Oh, Patrick just woke up. So God bless you, and thank you so much for joining us on Sunday Paper Live, and go and have a blessed Sunday.